Justice Show with Jackie Ray Phillips on YikesRadio.com. And you all know, again, here at the Poetry of Justice Show, this is where social consciousness meets the art, and we air each and every Saturday from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock p.m. here on Yikes Radio. So thank you again for joining us. Back to our Facebook avid listeners, thank you so much, everyone. Good evening again to Mr. Roger Hoyd. Thank you so much for your commentary and coming in with us each and every Saturday night, as you are appreciated. So, we are discussing the topic of immigration tonight. For those of you who may be just joining us, we have Mr. Billy Tang in the house tonight, everyone. And the Poetry of Justice Show is honored to have you, Billy.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here.
I'm sorry, I can reposition your mic for you. So we took our little break, so we're just kind of getting back in the groove. And of course, I have to my left, very special gentleman, Mr. Jason Clark. How are you? We've got Jason back in the house tonight.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Jason, as we kind of intro back into our show tonight, while we're in a little fun phase and we're listening to our music, could you let maybe our listeners know about your time when you did when you blessed us, the Ginger Production Entertainment Company, with your amazing story at that storytelling event? Can you just, if you don't mind, tell a little bit about your experience there?
I did not know what to expect. Lori is quite the director. She gives a lot of good advice, but no, it was a really great experience. The reception was so great. Everybody received me so well. I enjoyed telling the first story. That was funny. I think everybody got a little bit of a kick out of that, the bunny rabbit.
Yes, of course.
And then I really appreciated being able to put that in context with my life and some of the things that I had been through. So we had some fun, we had some serious moments, we heard some great poetry.
April Atkins,
Oh,
yes.
April is amazing, just really amazing, and we're hoping it's in the talks.
Yeah.
Maybe do another Tales from the Hood.
Volume what?
Volume 2.
That's Jason's language, if you will. Yeah, we gotta do it. We had a planning meeting,
Yeah, we want to get together and do another one of those. It should be a lot of fun. There's so much talent out there. Really quickly, I've been working at Healing Dialogue and Action with Javier. He's made me point on the Youth Justice Coalition. So all the youth stuff going on with the youth probation and all this stuff going on, I'm the point on that now. So
awesome.
Thank you. I've had an opportunity to work with Chuco's. I love Chuco's, the Youth Justice Coalition, and they had an event down there, and I saw some amazingly talented individuals down there. These kids, I mean, not kids, these youth. I was nowhere near doing what they're doing at that age. You know what I'm saying? I think back like when I was 15 and 16, when I was like, you know, these youths are amazing and amazingly talented, and so hopefully maybe we can bring some of them in and get some more stuff going for the Tales from the Hood, and hopefully we'll get more people there and have a good time and everybody will enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we did our little phone meeting last week. Has it been a week already?
It's been a week.
We've got work to do.
Right.
I think our next meeting is this week. but I just wanted Jason to talk a little bit about it. It was our Gigi Production and Entertainment Company. Is a small production company that my sister and I share and own and operate together. And each year we try to do something fun and amazing and exciting. Last year we got a little bit derailed with the illness and death of my mom. But I needed to do something, right? I needed to do something. So we did. So I opened up my home, and God blessed me with, of course, Miss Frida Ross and some of my other childhood friends, Miss April Atkins, and Frida Ross blessed me to know Mr. Jason Clark, and we just had a good time at the home, and people that I love and respect, and vice versa. And what we do is a safe haven, and I learned about this, Billy, about 6 years ago. My mom took ill the first time back in 2012. And at said time, before that, Billy, I was working as a vice president for a mid-size corporate real estate firm. And intense work. You saw Wolf of Wall Street, that's just a little sampling. responsibilities, with that lifestyle, the whole get down. My mom took ill. It was July of 2012, and at that time, the industry was insane, and the company I was working for was even more insane. And it was just my mom got sick, and I had to leave the job. So I left the job, and at that time, it was all about taking care of her, right? Which I'd do again in a heartbeat. But there were times where I just didn't understand what was happening for me, and what was I supposed to be doing, and what was my purpose. And in 2013, the Lord blessed me with what I call the gift to write. And lyrics I remember crying out to him, saying, Lord, what you got for me, Lord? I take care of this person, I'm taking care of that person. What's for me? I need something, talk to me. And so he began to talk to me. And he started talking to me, and these lyrics, I call them lyrics, just come in my head. And then I started writing, and from writing we turned to poetry, and from one poem to the next poem to a book of poetry to going on the road and doing my poetry and being blessed in that way. And so from that platform, I took a nice little small private writing class in the city of Long Beach where I live. And in the writing class, I had an opportunity to kind of really branch out a little bit more, right? You're taking a class, so it's not just you and your own like safe haven with your church and friends and stuff like that. And when I met this one woman there by the name of Ann Van Wellman, I'm giving you a shout out, Ann, because I always love this. She is the owner of the Long Beach Community Theater, and she began putting on these storytelling events. And what she would do, she has a very pristine, I know she's probably listening, but she has a very pristine process of how she reaches out to individuals and getting you to come in. But I loved that premise for what Ann was doing, and I thought that we could adopt that with Ginger Production and Entertainment Company. Usually we do something a little more bigger scale, but this time I wanted to do something a little bit more intimate, and we were able to do that. And what we do is we just kind of tell story. Ann has a little more stringent process, but I wanted to do something a little more easy to bring in people such as my dear friend, Miss Frida Ross, right? And remember when I told you about this, and she's like, oh my God, write something. What are you talking about? I'm not gonna be able to do this. I'm not gonna be able to write a story. I'm not gonna be able to get up there. I'm like, everyone has a story. Even if we just talk about Billy, the last 5 minutes, right? When we went outside, hey, I saw Jackie, we was outside on La Brea, we was doing do-do-do-do-do. That's a story, right? We've got amazing storytellers, maybe not so amazing, but everyone has a story, in my opinion. Whether you elect to tell it, or you might want to tell it somewhere else, or you may never want to tell it. But there is a story to be told. And so what I wanted to be called a story tales from your hood. Not my hood, but your hood, meaning you in here. Your hood, whoever you are, how you dwell, that inner sanctuary, and just one of those stories. But we were blessed because almost every performer had at least 2 or 3 stories, and just tell a little story, a little something, a little sharing event. And it was actually really fun.
It was
And
so much fun.
all the things that we thought we had planned, the universe had a whole nother plan, like that night here,
Yeah.
remember? It had like my dog, he started acting wild, and so we had to like totally switch the whole get down where we were going.
Back to
To
the
the
side.
front. But it worked out, because think about it. Okay, we couldn't have done what we did, I think, if the show would have been back in the gazebo. Did you like the side? You hated it? I think it was a little more intimate.
I think we could have pulled that off.
Anywhere
Anywhere we would have done.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We could have done that
At
at
Starbucks?
MacArthur Park, and it would have been fun.
Okay, that was just me the host who had all those other anxieties. But oh my goodness, we had a really, really, really good time. We even had a couple people, Billy, who came to just be audience members, and they decided, wait, this is so much fun, I want to get involved, remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jeremiah, he was like, no man, this is way too good, I've got to get involved. But from that, we've already begun to receive encore calls. So this is what Jason is talking about, the Story Tales from Your Hood Volume 2. So we have this population of individuals already, and then we've already begun to receive interest from other performers and entertainers who want to come on and tell their story. So this, like you're saying, this movement, if you will, is growing. Remember the blog? You guys were the era of the blob. We just kept rolling it as it kept rolling. We just kept sucking people up and getting bigger and bigger and sucking you up and getting. That's actually y'all here to the point. We're the blob. We just gonna keep rolling and getting more, but in a good way. In a good way. Positive energy. All good stuff. So I'm thinking, Billy, you know I'm going somewhere with this, right? Just to let you know, I want you to start preparing yourself, get those writings out, and you may want to be a part of the volume too. You know what I'm saying? Because I know, you know, and it's just fun, and then you get to meet my sister. She's the owner, and well, anyway, we're both the owners, but at the matter, she's the director.
Yes, she is.
And she will pull stuff out of you that you didn't even realize you were capable of doing, and you're like, oh my gosh! And so by the end of it all, you've worked with Scorsese, and now you are De Niro. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. So. But anyway, guys, I just wanted to share a little bit.
She knows her stuff too. She knows what she's talking about too. It's her career, right?
Exactly. So we're gonna do more fun stuff like that, and so we like to do that oftentimes, Billy, as well, to kind of break the monotony, because we do take on and tackle really large topics such as immigration. So back on that reality. When we leave here and when we walk out of this studio, what is one factor, if you will, and I know there may be many, but one of the main factors you would want our listeners to know about you, Billy, and what we can do as a community, as we talked about, how we can facilitate change?
Just by listening to my story and realizing that immigration impact not just the Latino community, right, but the Southeast Asian community. Like I was mentioning earlier, when I went to attention the second time, I saw people, all colors, right? Brown, yellow, black, couple whites.
Yeah.
But I think this topic of immigration impacts us all, whether we realize it or not, right?
Yes.
And so just, I'm sharing my story from, I guess, a different angle. Like you were mentioning, people don't realize that immigration impact the Asian community also. And currently speaking, there are 16,000 Southeast Asian with a deportation order in the whole United States. 16,000, so that's a huge number, right? And people don't realize that. And there's, it's growing. It's not something that's gonna decrease. It's growing if we don't come together and address this this issue of immigration, right?
I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry, Dante. When you hear the term illegal alien, what does that term mean to you? And let me go to you too, Jason, and Frida, please, and Dante.
Illegal is. There once upon a time, this whole land didn't have no borders, right? So how can we be illegal? I mean, the man made the border, right? And they separate, this land and that land. Now we're, illegal. I'm here as a permanent resident, but I came in here as a alien, right, to the United States. And now we're hearing illegal aliens coming. So it's like, this land is everybody's land, so how can anybody be illegal? There's a T-shirt that I have that says, no human being is illegal, so.
Right. Jason, please.
That's simple.
What does that term mean to you?
For me, illegal alien is, it's grown to the point where it's become a derogatory term. I feel that way. I feel it's become a derogatory term. I think it probably started out that way, but now it's got even more negative connotation to it. I couldn't agree with Bill more. Nobody's illegal, nobody. So it's like, like you said, 16,000. Okay, think about 16,000 Southeast Asians with deportation orders, and these are people that own businesses, have children, pay taxes. They do all these things, So yeah, illegal alien. I think it's derogatory. I think it's always had a derogatory connotation to it, and I think it's another one of those words that should be removed from the vocabulary, our vocabulary. I'm a big proponent of Second Amendment right, First Amendment right, freedom of speech, but freedom comes with responsibility, and we have to start being more responsible for our words and our actions. It's as simple as that. We want to enjoy this freedom, we need to be more responsible so that we can keep it.
Yes.
And by calling people derogatory names and telling them to go back where they came from, you know, if that was the case, I mean, come on, I mean, I would have to go back to the Caucasus Mountains, and you would have to go back to Africa.
Yeah, like where was
and
that?
you would have to go back to China because you're not from Cambodia, where they're trying to send you.
And
Wow.
the black race is so diluted. Africa doesn't even want me. I don't even know why I'm so diluted. I just know at least three different things. I'm just saying.
They will not accept you.
Nope.
And I don't wanna accept them.
You're not even rolling.
I don't wanna go. I don't know nothing about Africa. But you know, what I did wanna say though, of the term illegal, right? Illegal alien, right? Like you said, it carries a negative connotation. But, you know how, 45 was like all over the news talking about Russia if you hear me, Russia if you listening? Well, 45 if you're listening.
Uh-oh.
Hear this. It was them, wasn't it? Weren't they Europeans or something like that? I don't know. What were they? You know, that came over here and performed illegal acts, right?
On the native population.
Yeah. So why don't they go back to where they came from, and us people of color
I'm jumping in
can
with you guys.
inhabit? we gonna keep you. But you see what I'm saying? You know what I mean? Why don't they do that? Go back to where you came from. And let us have our 40 acres and a mule, and let the Indians have all their land and shit that y'all took. You know? Yeah. How about that? I don't know. Yeah, that's what I think about illegal aliens.
Give them back Manhattan. Right?
Right.
They can have it.
Wow. Dante, illegal alien.
You said it. No one's illegal on stolen land because
There
they
you
came
go.
here first and they took it.
Who's
Straight up
they?
took it.
This keeps getting
Who,
better.
they were Europeans that came
Thank
over
you.
and took it. So they weren't from here and they stole the land from these people. And
Yes.
all across time you see it. You said it's derogatory terms, what they call black people. What did they call the Native Americans and indigenous people? They call them savages, you know what I mean? There's always a term that they use to identify
Just
people that they're gonna discriminate against.
Dehumanized.
Exactly. So now you're an illegal alien. You're not a human being. You don't
I'm
have-
thinking of the Twilight Zone when I hear alien. I'm
You
like,
feel me?
What the?
Oh, I'm not from this universe? What are you
Right.
the same blood? What are you talking about?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense.
Right.
But there's always that derogatory term, and it's the new derogatory term right now to call immigrants, people, illegal aliens. And it's immigration built this country. You can look at everything. The Hollywood, you know what I mean? Like everything was built by people that are not from here doing things that they were not supposed to do. You know what I mean?
Can I tap onto that real quick? One thing I noticed driving around Los Angeles is I will drive through Little Tokyo, into Koreatown, into Little Ethiopia, into Filipino Town, okay? All these communities were originally built up by the immigrants that settled in these areas.
Right.
So to say it's illegal alien, I mean, this entire city is a patchwork of small communities of immigrant populations that built up. Koreatown's a great place. I love going to Little Tokyo. It's off the hook over there. 45 had his way, we wouldn't have any of this. It would just be hotel towers and that would be it.
Yeah.
No,
Or Trump Tower.
there would be no flavor, there would be no culture, there would be none of that.
It doesn't need to be.
What you
But
mean?
they were not here first. They came over here and diluted our stuff.
Well, that's very true.
I'm getting
What?
ready to say a real bad word. Look, Roderick just asked, where does Trump's wife stand in all this?
Oh.
I'm saying Roderick, Melania Trump needs to go
Ah!
back too.
No. Go ahead, Jason.
Technically, I heard something about this. She would have actually be deported because
She
she
should
violated
be.
her visa, her work visa. She violated.
Expired too.
It's expired.
She
isn't it?
shouldn't. If they're going off of what they're trying to criminalize other people for, she wouldn't be allowed to be
To
here.
even be here.
But she's the first lady of the United States, and what?
That's just,
It,
it's just, yeah, I mean, it's just disrespectful at this, right? And is it beyond an insulting of intelligence? It's just,
Well, yeah, it's hate mongering now. It's as simple as that. It's hate mongering. It's.
I had one response pre-show discussion was that they believe that the President of the United States is looking to incite a race riot.
Oh my God,
War.
without a doubt.
Full on.
Okay.
And.
Without
Go
a
ahead.
doubt.
I'm totally fine with that if he's the first one out.
If
If he comes out and
On the
starts it
front
first
line.
on the front line, I'm fine with that because it would be over 30 seconds
Everybody
after it
else
started.
going home.
Right.
It would be over 30 seconds after it started.
I don't know, guys, this is, I don't know, so we're looking at immigration, we're talking about concentration camps. Concentration camps, what do we make of that, i.e. detention centers, i.e. ICE? Anything with that, Billy?
I was recently in
Just tell me.
rally to protest against opening up Fort Sill to detain families, kids, children, right? And you know, and Fort Sill has a history of concentration camp, right? So it's kind of like history repeating itself. So we're trying, you know, so it's like, how can we stop that? You know, stop history from repeating that.
Was Fort Sill used in the Japanese during World War internment camp, right?
Yes.
And they want to use it.
And this was, you know,
For the
acts
same
of,
reason.
you know, inhumane treatment during that time, and now they're,
Same thing.
yeah, so when does it end, you know?
I have a question that I wanna bring to the table, guys. What about looking at this from a spiritual perspective? Jason, I know you may have seen some of my notes.
No, I saw the spiritual, but I was just glancing. But
No,
from a spiritual perspective,
from a spiritual perspective, what we're describing, the inhumane treatments, on and on, the repeat, the concentration camps, could this be a sign of the times, if you will?
I gotta warm up for this
Yes,
one.
warm it up.
From a spiritual perspective, I'm not a religious person. I am a spiritual person.
There you go.
I try my
Amen.
best to follow the Stoic philosophy on life. And I'm not a perfect Stoic, but I try my best
Right.
to follow those teachings. If I was a Christian, I would do my best to follow those teachings of Christ.
Understood.
If I was a Buddhist, I would do my, seems like a lot of people are calling themselves Christians, but not following anything that has to do with Christianity. There's a lot of people calling themselves good people or spiritual or any number, but they're not doing what's required to make that true. You see what I'm saying?
I do.
So it's, from a spiritual standpoint, there's, and here's the thing is, you know, what's the old quote? Evil needs nothing more to win than for good people to do nothing.
Wow.
Simple as that. There's a lot of good people out there who are maybe burnt out or overwhelmed or just sick of it all or whatever's going on, but we need the good people now more than
Right.
ever to step up and start helping us fix these problems. If you're, you know, people that are screaming at these protests and saying these horrible things and doing all this stuff, and then go to church on Sunday, it blows me away. I saw a thing on YouTube where the Black Lives Matter movement went to the mother of all rallies, the guys that do the Trump rally. They actually, the guy that runs it, in an attempt to make some peace, actually let the Black Lives Movement people come up and talk a little bit on stage. And I can't remember John was the guy that was choked to death in New York for selling cigarettes. I can't remember.
Gardner.
Eric Garner.
Eric Gardner.
Responded just-
They brought up his name, and this woman in the crowd screams out, "He was a criminal." Like, he deserved that because he was a criminal. You know, he deserved the death penalty on the sidewalk because he was a criminal. here's the thing: is she was wearing a hat and sunglasses while she's screaming this. I would love for her to get up in front of her church and say the same
Say
thing.
that.
She won't do it,
Oh.
right? That's so. You know, if you're going to claim to be a Christian, as much, you know, whether it's a red state or blue state, you know, a lot of red state people are claim to be Christians.
Yes,
You're right.
agreed.
Start acting like it. Start following the teachings. Just don't read the Old Testament for the punishment and life
Oh,
or
yeah,
not.
right.
Read the New Testament where he talks about turning the other cheek and love thy neighbor and
It's all about love.
That's it. It's
literally
all it.
All about love.
Exactly.
Love another person and you doing good. It's the
Yeah.
easiest thing to do.
so, yeah, spiritually, I think we, you know, if you are a spiritual person or religious person, just take a few minutes to look at your beliefs and where you're at and what you're doing with your life and see if that coincides with what you tell people you are.
About what you are.
And then, you know, after we all do that, maybe we can move forward and get some positive things done. Because there's a lot of Christians in this country. And I say that as Catholics, Christians, Baptists, all followers of Jesus,
Okay, understood.
right? There's a lot of Christians in this country.
Yes.
Why are we in the mess we're in? Why are we behaving the way we're behaving? Why are we doing the things we're doing if this is a God-fearing Christian nation?
Got it.
Yeah, I know why.
Come on up, Miss Rose.
Because I know why.
It's hard to be a Christian, that's why.
No. I don't, well, yeah, it is. I work at it every day. But the evangelicals, you know, those Trump supporters, the evangelicals, they're bigots. Like, they've been given you know, we talk about unleashing the beast, right? So the evangelicals who have been able to hide behind the mask all these many years and been able to execute so much power in the political realm, the evangelicals, all these years. Well, now even the evangelicals don't have to hide anymore, right? They're bigots. President Trump, if you're listening, they're all bigots. They're all racist, and they're all ungodly. You know, they're not Christians. They're not Christians. What they do is they hide behind the Bible and the verses and the veils and the what have you. You know what I'm saying? And they Bible thump on everybody else's head, while if you go to their house, they got people down off in the basement. You know what I'm saying? Doing horrible shit to them. You know.
And he talks about those people in the book. He says,
yes.
They say their heart is near me, and when they get to that judgment, he's going to say, I never
Knew you.
Never knew you.
I don't know that fool.
I've never seen this person in my life, but they say with their mouths, but their hearts are far from me. That's what they say.
This is how we open the show. Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be pleasing unto the Lord.
That's
Seek
right.
ye first the righteousness of God, and all those shall be added.
So
Sounds
that's
so
where
simple,
they are,
doesn't it?
they bigots.
It's really not that hard.
Right?
It's really not that hard.
But I don't know.
It would be easy if they just went back where they came from.
Dante, you have your phone with you. Can you pull up something from it? Do you have the YouVersion Bible on your phone? Yeah. If you could pull up scripture, Revelations 13, verses 16, verses 18.
Oh, the end of the world.
That's
This is Revelations,
right.
yeah. 13 through 18.
Yeah, Revelations.
Is this still a horseman? I know I'm close, it's right around there.
The mark of the beast.
Oh,
got
Mark
it.
of the beast, that's what it
Yeah, I
was.
love it. Okay, here we go, guys. Dante. Revelation
Is the
13, 16 through 18. Also, it causes all, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be marked on the right hand or the forehead, so that no one can buy or sell unless he has the mark, that is, the name of the beast or the number of its name. This calls for wisdom. Let the one who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of man, and his number is 666. The end. Thank you, Dante. I was thinking Damien Omen. Oh, remember that Damien Omen? Is it? Could it be?
Well,
What? Cashless society people?
That explains the hairdo.
Oh my
So,
gracious.
to
I
cover up
swear to God,
the
I
mark
was
of
just
the beast.
thinking the same thing. I swear.
What were you thinking?
I was thinking that the mark is his head, is his hair. I swear. You know what? Great minds think alike. Yes.
Okay, guys, but I'm thinking like seriously though, like
Well,
that came to me, guys. You know, the pre-question get down. Is this probably the sign of the times, Jackie? The word talks
Yeah.
about it. Yes, Jason. Yes.
it also said, I forget where, but that, it also says that I will come like a thief in the night.
Yes. Yes.
So while these are all signs and portents of very bad times, I can't say for sure if this is the coming zombie apocalypse or not.
Got it.
But we are in a bad place. We're at a tipping point. We've been at this tipping point throughout various places throughout our history.
Yes.
Imagine if D-Day at Normandy would have went differently. That would have been the end of days,
Absolutely.
right? So we think about throughout history, we've had these tipping points.
Yes.
And we're at another tipping point right now. Not just America, the entire world is at a tipping point. Russia is ruled by oligarchs. China's still imposing martial law. Now, there's nowhere where it's getting better. You know, look what's, London's having all these problems with the, all this stuff. So we're at a tipping point and we need to, I hope that I'm long gone before the end of days comes.
Yes.
I really do.
Yes.
And I feel like I will be. I don't
Yes.
think this
Yes.
is the end of days. I think we're at a tipping point, but I
Mhm,
think
mhm.
humanity collectively together should be able to at least postpone it a little longer,
Right,
you know?
right.
And like we said, we're part of a social movement. I mean, 10 years ago, who talked about restorative justice?
Right.
Nobody.
No. You're right.
Nobody, you
Right.
know? So it's like, we're at a tipping point, but I always, I grew up on Star Wars and all this,
Mhm.
right?
Me too.
I always
Yeah.
believe that good will prevail over evil.
Right?
It
It
has
has
to,
to,
right?
what?
It has to, right?
That's that.
Facts.
Yeah.
So I do believe that, once again, good is gonna triumph over evil.
Absolutely, it always.
But we're just at a tipping point and we need to be more aware of that.
Right. Okay.
With everything going on, just be aware of it and start acting accordingly.
What I think just came to me, Billy, what I want us to do collectively, each one of us, is just sensitize what we've been so desensitized to. If you will, right? Like just seeing a dead body. Oh, so what? It's no big deal. Because we're watching it in movies and the video games and this and that.
And the news.
But no, we're like, no, people, we can't just let this ride.
That's a real baby.
We can't just let, this is the real deal. Hold, this is not a movie. This is not just a video clip that someone's sending you. This is not the Fast and the Furious. This is it. This is real. A tipping point, if you will, a trajectory. This is, I don't even know. I'm like, wow. Even myself when I look at stuff, just what we're talking about tonight. Wow. You know what I mean? This is really real and it's very close. It's not, I think before, I know for me, oftentimes I would think, okay, well this is a problem, right? But this isn't a me problem. This doesn't affect me. I don't have a cousin who's a Cambodian person. Okay, I'm passionate to criminal justice system because I have friends and family who have found, you know what I'm saying, that big thing, right? And then you got these other big things, but, oh, well that didn't touch me before. But we are at a point where you're saying, Dante, what we're all saying is, it does touch us. It touches everybody. It doesn't matter, like you were saying, Billy, if you're brown or yellow or white or whatever color the establishment has decided to throw upon a race of people. We are still human beings, and there are basic things that we deserve based on the fact that we are human beings, right?
Right.
And that we were made in the likeness of something greater than ourselves, and based upon that, we deserve better. And I think if we see that there's some sort of injustice, we need to at least take the opportunity, like we're doing, to point it out, to say, hey,
And
I don't like that.
especially African Americans.
That's exactly it.
Especially African Americans, because to be perfectly honest with you, like, we don't even,
come on the mic for
I'm
us all,
sorry,
that we asked you.
we don't even own our own names. So if he can do this type of thing to those that he's doing this to today, right? Who's to say that, you know, in 2020, if he gets elected, he don't get a wild hair and decide, you know, them real dark ones need to go back where they came from now.
All in cages again.
Right? Do you see what I'm saying? So it's incumbent upon us all, white, black, everybody, to like take a stand right now, because I think, who just said it? One of you guys just said it. This is we're in a bad kind of way. We're in a bad kind of way, really. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's done things that can't be undone, that's going to affect our children, our grandchildren. Look how he's just stacked the Superior Court of the United States of America, right? Even the lower courts, right? And aren't
Especially-
those lifetime?
Especially the lower courts.
Yes. He's done things that cannot be undone. And so our grandchildren and great-grandchildren, quite possibly, are gonna be affected by the decisions that this man has made. So we have to, we have to come up with something. You know what I mean? I don't have the answer. I wish I was that bright, you know, but I think that we're starting here on the Poetry of Justice Show.
Yes, Jason.
I think one of the problems is we're all looking for a complex answer. I think it's actually it's a very simple answer, you know, it's change, you know, or, you know, it's any number of small answers, it's change, get involved, don't stand for it no more, do something about it. It's not this big, huge, complicated thing, it's just all of us collectively, and when you get us together collectively, everybody knows the United States is unstoppable when we get together collectively. Ask Germany.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
so I think it's a matter of, it's not a complex answer we have to find, it's a simple answer. We just have to start changing the things that are wrong and start working to make them better. And I'm not saying we're gonna make a utopian paradise, I'm just saying we're gonna make it a little bit better, a little bit better, a
It's
little.
not gotta be this bad.
Right, thank you, yeah, it doesn't have to
Yeah.
be this bad.
If each one of us, and I think, yeah, we just gotta bring the awareness to it. I know, but for me, I always wanted to know, like, what is the biggest thing that I can take from each and every show? And one of the most monumental things for me at this moment, Billy, obviously, me being here, because I'm always blessed and honored for anyone who takes the time to come to the station, and people
I'm
will
on
take that.
the beat.
So I want to tell you that again, but I even me myself, I'm not going to, I'm gonna look at immigration way more differently in terms of this problem doesn't affect anyone that I know personally, because now that's no longer true. So now that puts a whole new fire underneath me from a personal responsibility as well from a communal responsibility. We have to do more. We have to do more. But just get that, Dante. Okay, it's back on. It was just about the battery. Tell us about the battery. But no, what we have to do now is there's a larger, you know, accountability and responsibility. We've got to get the stories out. But what I want to know about is safety. And when I say that, I had one of the gals, a lady I worked with in Long Beach, and she's a white gal, and her age is, she's about 35 years old. But what her question was, she's concerned about the fear when we get the news reports that, oh my God, this week is gonna be an ice raid. You know, ice is coming to Southern California, do this, do that, get yourself together. That moment of panic, and where are people gonna go, what are they to do? Are they really gonna be like, not her question was, are they really gonna be knocking in people's doors? going into people's homes?
They do.
So the answer is yes.
They do. They do it. You see videos of it. You see it. You hear about it. You see, like you said, people's parents. You see videos of people hugging their kids because they know they're about to get deported. It's already being done. That's the thing.
Just kicking in the door.
I remember that one week. I'm sorry, I know you're itching right now. I remember that one week where it was maybe earlier this month. He first announced that he was going to do the ICE raids in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and one other major city.
Mm-hmm.
Mission Street in San Francisco is one of the most populated places ever. It's literally like walking down New York. You'll see people all on the block standing, selling stuff. Nobody was outside. I remember driving to work that weekend. Says no ICE on the thing. I didn't see anybody on the walking on the sidewalks, walking anywhere. Everybody was just inside because it's that fear of.
He's getting the desired result. He wants to stoke fear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then they didn't even do it.
It didn't even do anything, but you see I remember going to work and I was like, there's nobody outside today.
Yeah.
There's nobody out, and we live in Los Angeles, it's the summer, everybody outside for no reason.
Right.
There was nobody outside, so that fear, he's working it.
Wow. I know, like I said, one of my niece working for an immigration firm, it's, big thing, right? Immigration attorneys now are against the hot ticket right now, right?
And that's sad.
God forbid that joke, but yeah, I mean, you have your attorney on hand, so it's a situation where if you're gonna be pulled over, if you are targeted under an ICE raid, there's immediate information to be disseminated, for individuals to reach out immediately to a law firm. But the goal is to kind of reach out if, for whatever reason, the individual finds themselves in a scenario where the paperwork is not in order, to reach out to one of the, an attorney or one of the organizations that will help facilitate that prior to, just to kind of more or less become registered. But then that's the whole fear, why would, going in ahead of time, putting myself on a hot sheet, that you know what I'm saying? I try to stay off any freaking radar, more or less. I don't know. I was gonna ask, Billy, what we can do to help Billy's plight? So Ms. Frida Ross. Seriously.
I think just, for me, it's just, helping other immigrants that's struggling right now. My part is, I'm in a little bit better position than most, but there's so many that are struggling right now, and I think my main, really, agenda to, share my story and to kind of educate the public, on issues at hand concerning immigrations, is to just build that awareness, the education of what's happening in the immigrant community, the Southeast Asian community. Of course, we're all familiar with Latino, Latinx community, right? But what about the Black community? There's, as I was mentioning when I went there, there's a lot of Black folks in there that normally people just like, Black folks, what are they doing there?
Yeah.
But there's people from Nigeria, people from Haiti, Caribbeans, right, that are facing deportation, and those are the population that nobody's like, oh really, like,
no one even,
yeah,
it doesn't even register.
Right, and those stories not being shared more, right? So it's just, just support the immigrant community,
Yes, Jason.
I love you ask Billy, what can we do to help you, Billy? And he tells you to help everybody else.
Look what I just wrote.
I know.
I'm like such a selfless individual in the midst of his own storm.
And that's how you know his blessings will be answered in abundance to the full, to the
You are
overflow.
amazing.
He's living in the overflow. Yeah, Billy, for sure you are.
Right?
And what we want to do is our part, which is being here today. Anything additional, you let me know. Like I said again, I can. If I don't know it, I'll definitely look it up. But this is what I wanted to know. Would you be willing to come back to the Poetry of Justice show and be a trailblazer? Because Frida Ross, you know me, I think we need a trailblazer for our show, a liaison, if you will, a leader for our immigration unit of the Poetry of Justice show. And I'd like for you to think about it, and it would be an honor if you could help us trailblaze, because you can bring us deeper into this culture and community, if you will. And I just know off the cuff, but I wanna know, and I don't want us to not be a part of it.
No, absolutely, anything to do to help. Now, like I say, this is not my issue alone, but the whole community, right? And yeah, we, need to do something about it, and the time is now to do something about it, right? So.
And we can come out, we love to, like we on location now, don't we?
You can do it all now, yeah.
So, you need us to come, what you gonna do, we've got a lot of big things coming up. When I say big things, this here, right now, is big to me. This is big to me.
This is huge.
Right?
Yeah.
So we've got a lot of more of these big things coming up, that we can do, that we will do, you know what I mean, internally here. But the real work is out there. And Frida's been telling me for almost a year now, Jackie, gotta get out that studio. I love my studio. I love the time here, of course. But even we gotta get out in the field. We gotta get out because that's where it's real at. You know what I'm saying? So all things work together, and those are some of the things we'll continue to do here on the Poetry of Justice show. Now, next week, I'm trying to give a little bit of advance information to our guests. Next week, we're going to be doing, I haven't really titled the show yet, but I've got some gentlemen, stop Jason, I've got some gentlemen that are coming in. My brother-in-law, Eric Fisher, I did a show with him. It was called An Evening with Eric Fisher. And what he did, he talked a little bit about, we did a show called Reflections. So this gentleman is my brother-in-law, but he's over the age of 50, and so we kind of went down memory lane. I don't know if he was in this, yeah, Dante was with us. So it was like Eric in his 20s, and then in his 30s, and then in his 40s, and then now. And what would you have done then, and what are you doing now? But we received high accolades of his show, and just having men is paramount for me, having men on our show, right, Freddie? Because I used to get a lot of negative energy. Oh, you don't have any men on your show. It's a bunch of, Dante, all you women in here, you don't have any guys, Jackie Ray. So look, hey, now we got men in the show. So that's what that energy is coming from. And so I have Mr. Fisher that's going to be back in the studio. And I believe he's bringing another gentleman. So my point is we may have more stuff. So depending on what you got going on next week, we'd like to maybe get you back in the studio if you don't want to be on the panel, perhaps in the audience with us. And so that's going to be on next Saturday, I believe August 3rd is that date, Saturday, August 3rd. And that's also going to be our birthday party that we're going to have here. The Poetry of Justice show. Remember, she turns 30 years old. So I'm super juiced. And so we've got some other good things coming up the pike. And so I'm always looking for new ideas. So Billy, what I'm trying to tell you is on air, I low-key will be calling you again. I will be using you as a reference, and I've said it here publicly, so. Because we have to do more.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for, informing people of the immigration issues, right?
Yes.
Thank you for having me here and sharing my stories. And, my stories is my story, but other people share similar stories as I do. And, my main concern is to shed some light into, the impact of immigration, right? Not just on certain community, but, just
Yes.
a larger scale, really, right? So, thank you.
You're welcome. The one thing I like about storytelling and sharing is the fact that it reminds me of group therapy, if you will. You know what I mean?
Right.
When you learn that, oh my God, it's not just me. It's not just me. I'm not the only person who feels this way. So sharing that information and us disseminating it, I believe, that's part of the healing, is what I want to say.
Yeah, or
Go
you
ahead, Jason.
hear someone that's been through something similar, but they've dealt with it or processed it differently, and it gives you an insight, like, wow, that's how they got through that, and you can maybe learn from it or grow from it or something like that. So, and Billy's a member of ARC, the Anti-Recidivism Coalition, same as me. And one thing that Scott Budnick taught all of us was, in order to win a campaign, the first thing you have to do is win the hearts and minds,
Okay.
right? And you're absolutely right. Storytelling is the best way to do that. Letting people know what's really going on, a new perspective of something,
Yeah.
a personal perspective of something. Because right now it's faceless illegal aliens coming across the border, right? That's now it's a personal story.
Yes.
This is someone I consider a friend,
Yes.
a colleague,
Yes.
and he's doing everything he can. I mean, this country tried to detained him and tried to deport him twice.
Man.
Back to the country where they killed his father.
And he
put
still
him in
wants
the
to
prison
be
camp.
You
here.
can't be safe there, because those same men that killed your dad may want, you understand what I'm saying?
Right,
To
right.
live for you.
And, you know, and nobody knows this story, and they need to, because if people knew this story and they were good people, they would say, this is
This is wrong.
completely and totally wrong. This is not anything about what this country is about. And that's why I do it, but you have to win the hearts and minds. The way you do that is let people know what's really going on from a personal perspective. And once you do that, then when the polls open up and when the next vote comes up, you know, people are
Yes.
thinking wrong or right. How am I gonna
Right.
vote?
Right,
Am I
right.
gonna vote wrong or am I gonna vote right?
Mhm.
It's as simple as that. Am I gonna
Right.
vote for what's right or am I gonna vote for what I know now is
It's
wrong?
just wrong, right, on
Right.
so many levels.
Let's not let divisive issues split the parties and do all this, you know,
Yes,
vote for what's right, vote for what's better.
right.
You know, and that's what we have to do. It's as simple as that. Quit letting simple decisive issues and oh my God, Bernie's gonna turn us into a socialist country and,
Right, yeah.
and all this other stuff. The fact is, medical care is moving more social.
Yes.
It has to.
Right.
It
Duh.
has to.
It absolutely
There's
does,
7
right?
billion people on this planet. It has
I
to
could
move a little
not.
more socially, right? Not the entire system, just help people with, you know, so, but these people get hold of it and, you know, and you know, I'm not saying I'm not endorsing Bernie or anything, but let's stop letting one small thing throw the entire thing out the, you know.
Right.
Yeah, it's getting so ridiculous with our politics. Everything is, everything is an inflammatory subject now.
Yeah.
And here, we sat here and talked about immigration for 2 hours. Nobody got punched, nobody, right, there was no riot.
All of us are different. We don't look like each other.
Exactly.
We all come from different things. Nobody's trying to, hey, I'm trying to get out of here and kill this person as soon as we walk out of the studio. There's
Right.
none of that.
Right, yeah, and it can be done.
Yes.
You know, it's, okay, here, it started here.
Yep, we're the trailblazers.
It started here.
That's it.
You guys go ahead, we're handing off the baton to the rest of the public.
Right.
Yes.
Take the baton and run with it.
That's it. We've got about a minute here, you guys, and so I just once again want to wrap up and let everyone know once again that I appreciate your time coming in, Billy. Of course, you know I appreciate you, Jason, and Miss Frida Ross. It's always a joy to have you here. Dante, you are amazing. Thank you
You're
so
welcome.
much for your time tonight. Thank you so much to our Facebook listeners and viewers. You know, you are appreciated. I appreciate you all so much. Thank you to our YouTube. I know sometimes I get a little neglectful, but you can always catch us there. But anyway, everybody, Immigration here tonight with Billy Tang, Jason
Thank you.
Clark, Frida Ross, Poetry of Justice Show, Jackie Ray Phillips signing out. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. Have a good night.